Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Kevin White. I'm the CEO of Spirit Media, and we get to have a big celebration today. So I hope that you are ready to put your hands together. We're going to go right into the show as we have our friend Ann with us. Ann, welcome to
Thank you.
your international book launch with Spirit Media. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Well, you are dearly loved. I'm going to invite people who are watching to please go ahead and let Ann know. Join us in an international congratulations to Ann. And one of our friends, mutual friends, Barbara Hemphill, and her
Yes,
husband affectionately refer to Ann as Queen Ann. So
that's right.
please take time, put a crown in the chat. Let's say congratulations to Queen Anne. How did you get dubbed Queen Anne?
Oh, it's such a long story, but I am happy to always share it. We used to play Miss America when we were little girls. And so when we kind of grew up, the people that we used to play with, we would meet every year on the Miss America pageant and we would play. And one year it turned into we had to have a talent. And then the next year you had to wear an evening gown. And it just grew and grew and grew. And so every year, and the way you win is you just draw your name out of a crystal crown bowl. And for 5 years straight, I didn't win. I was always first runner up. So when it was time for my time to be queen, I made it a big deal, and it just kind of caught on and continued. So, I'll take Queen
Mm.
Anne. All I ask is that you treat me like the queen. So who cannot have fun with that, right?
Right,
So anyway,
right,
it was,
right.
it's the,
Well, I'm playing with the screen here because I want you to show everyone, teach us how to do the wave. So even before we came live, you were showing Tracy and I how it's very important that you wave to the side, not to block your face.
Oh, it's
So
very important. Now
show us
this is
how.
worth noteworthy. So make sure
Yes,
you write this
this
down.
is
When
free,
you wave,
everyone. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, this is free stuff and good stuff. What you want to do when you wave, if someone is on the camera holding a camera to your right, never wave with your right hand because they may get a picture with your hand in front of your face. So we don't want that. So if the person is taking your picture to the right, you always wave with your left hand. Then that way you'll be sure that your hand is not blocking your face or your crown. That's very important
Hmm.
stuff. So yes, so
Yes.
that's just one little tip. We'll have to do
Yeah.
a show on the whole crown stuff, Kevin, because it's a
Yeah. So
lot.
wave. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. But we are here to celebrate your new book,
Yes.
Grief Without Chaos. Congratulations. I
No.
want to show everyone here the book itself. It is a beautiful book that Anne has put together for us. And you can see it. We'll show you in just a little bit the reference on Amazon, the listing there, and we're going to actually even listen to a snippet of the audiobook. But I want to just show you the pages. It is a 8.5 by 11 workbook. And this is not just, it does tell Anne's story, and we're going to let her share that with us. But it has obviously 3 chapters or in the beginning of text, and then it gets into the information. So the subtitle is preparing for emergencies, and so I wanted to just show you some of the forms that she has taken the time to put into the book here, so that you can get an idea of the usefulness of this book. And go ahead and let's just dive in for a moment of your
Okay.
story. So
Okay.
you have a story of from tragedy to triumph. And the
I
reason
do.
that this book is published is because God's taken a graveyard in your life and turned it into a beautiful garden. So walk us
Oh,
back through that. What
okay.
happened and what has resulted in this book.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I back in 2003, I was over in Disney World, the happiest place on earth, with my sister and mother, celebrating my sister's birthday, and we got that horrible call that every parent just dreads getting. And my husband, Johnny, had said, Ann, you've got to come home. Something's happened to David, my son. So we went, make a long story short, we had to drive that 2-hour drive from Orlando back to Clearwater. And by the time we got to the hospital, my son David had passed. And as you can imagine, when you get that horrible news, your whole world just falls apart, and you're never the same after that. So one of the things that happened to me that I remember is that while his body was laying on the gurney right in front of us, and they were trying to get us to leave the hospital, of course, which we didn't want to do. But one of the hospital workers there handed me a packet, and she just handed it to me, and she said, now I know this is hard, but tomorrow you're going to have to plan your son's funeral. And at that point, everything just went numb. It was just like in the movies that I could see her mouth moving, but I didn't understand what she was saying. That was a horrible experience. And that is one of the reasons that I so proudly hold this book, that I don't want anyone else to have to go through that. Now, thank goodness, David he was 17 when he passed. And by the way, everyone always asks me, to this day, we still do not have a cause of death on him. He died suddenly. And they have his heart up at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, in a study trying to find out what is wrong with him, or why he passed away. But, all the horrible things that went into that, I thought, I don't want anyone else to have to go through that. And like I said, he was 17. So if he'd been 18, it would have been a whole different story, because he would have been considered an adult, and I would not have been able to get into his private information. So for another reason I wrote the book too was it's grief without chaos. And the experiences that I went through were filled with chaos because I didn't have anything in order. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a certified productive environment specialist through the Productivity Institute in Raleigh, North Carolina, with my mentor and lovely friend, Barbara Hemphill, as the CEO. And I've learned so many wonderful things from Andrea and all the wonderful people there, that through my organizing life, I've just always been an organizer. And so I started out, I'm starting my 30th year this year. I can't believe it. But I started out doing kitchens and closets and homes. And then about 7 years into it, I realized that paperwork was really a nemesis for most people. So I honed in and made that my niche. And I just love doing paperwork, because to me, that's like the base foundation, bottom line of getting your life to where you can enjoy it and, be happy and not wonder where all your paperwork is. So of course, getting into paperwork, then I started working with people, and I would say, do you have a will? Do you have your documents in order in case an emergency should happen? 90% the answer was no, I don't, or I've been meaning to do that. Or, yeah, I have one, but I don't even know where it is or when I did it. So I knew people had to have it updated. And it's funny because the way my brain works, my husband says, when you die, when they cut your brain open, it's going to be in little squares, because I have my little check boxes, because I try to find a way to do things and still be productive and efficient at the same time, but yet getting the same results and even better. So, I started thinking, okay, I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through. So I just started a little note-taking session with myself on trying to put things in what I didn't want people to have to go through what I did. So then in 2014, my wonderful, sweet, precious mother passed away, and she had everything in order. 3 months later, my mother-in-law fell, and I love her dearly, and she went into a coma and died a week later. So she did not have everything ready. And the experiences, now you talk about chaos, those were chaos experiences that had we had the questions that everybody asks, written down somewhere, it would have saved us thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, a lot of headaches, a lot of, just bitterness between the family saying, I don't remember her saying this, and someone saying, yes, she did. Well, if we would have had this book that has all the information in it, our lives would have been so much better. So that's where I came up with the title, Grief Without Chaos. And it's also a book, I really want to point out here too, that it is not just for when you die. It is if you were in a car accident and were incapacitated and couldn't speak for yourself, or people did not know what's happening, your loved ones and your family and friends, they're going to be grieving and upset, and everybody's in a turmoil. This one book is if you could hand this to someone and say, I can't think right now because I'm so upset over hearing this news, but here's the information that you might need that would help you right now. So that is my goal. Like I said, I'm just so excited. It's almost like you don't know what you don't know. And it's taboo to talk about death. No one wants to talk about it because and I was one of these people, I'll admit, before David died, if I didn't want to talk about death, because if I talked about it, somebody was going to die. And so I didn't want that. Well, boy, did I learn different. I had to learn the hard way. So I'm trying to save you not to have to go through that experience. And it really, once people go through it and they start with it, they say, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And that's, I say, you don't know what you don't know. So find out. We plan for our retirement. We plan for babies being born. We plan for everything in life. We're all going to die. Like I tell people, if you're not going to die, you don't need this book. But if you're going to go, then you need this book. But so it's just that it's not a hard thing to do. And I always tell people, when you get the book, the first thing I want you to do is go through it and just write down the answers, what you know off the top of your head. And that will also familiarize yourself with the book and what's in there and the information that you will need to get. And at the end of it, they all say, oh my gosh, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I didn't know I had to have this, and I feel really good. And I call it their pathway to peace. I have one client, Teresa, who I just love, and she has been a client that has gone from the beginning of the book to the end of the book to actually going out to the cemetery and buying their plots. So I tell everyone, be a Teresa. Just be a Teresa and complete the book, and just the peace of mind that she will have when an emergency happens. Because we all get hit with things. And like I said, if you have young children, 18 and above, that you could fill out this information, such as passwords. Passwords are a huge blocking point for people to try to get in things, and banking, and just the horror stories that I've learned through the years of, because I do take care of people's paperwork. When someone dies or gets hurt, they call me and say, where can I find these documents? So I will go, and I have watched over and over again the fights, it absolutely can break up families because it involves money and where does she want to be buried, or what happened to this, and then you get in that whole life support question. What would she want or he want? If they don't have that information written down, they don't know, and it's chaotic. So that's what this book removes.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you really taking the time to walk us through that, and I really hope everyone watching will take this advice serious. This is a gift that is coming into your life today through this international release of this book. Congratulations, Ann, for that. And thank you for allowing God to just turn one of your graveyards into a garden. I read this often over many of our authors, but this is from 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4. He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are in trouble, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us. And that's what Ann has made her life and her prayer and her business out of. And I just love the way in which you have now a warning sign that you are using through this book to help people prepare for their emergencies and, God forbid, even death.
Right.
And so, yeah, thank you so much for this. We're going to, let me just share my screen, and I want to just show you, and go ahead and just talk about the forms and anything practical, as I'm just now going to take people through a survey of of what is available on Amazon. And I want to show everybody that, but you can go ahead and just share about what is in the book that you found to be most practical.
Okay, I'd be happy to. One thing that I found, of course, is the passwords, because everything is digital now. We all have so many different accounts with different passwords. And so I think by putting that down, one person said to me, I don't want anyone to know my passwords. Well, if that's the case, and I understand that, then at least write your passwords down and leave them with your attorney or some trusted friend or other family member if you don't want them in your house. Okay. So, but those passwords can be just so valuable to have that information if you need to get into it. Also, I think it's important by having your neighbors' phone numbers. There's a page in here and it says, who are you? If something happens to you and someone comes in and they get this book, who do they call? What do you have? Do you have a DNR? Like, I know that sometimes if the ambulance comes to your house, that's the first thing they'll ask. Well, if you have a DNR and you don't have it with you or where they can see it, and you do not want to be resuscitated, they have to resuscitate you. So that's why it's important when I list all the legal documents that are in here that you should have. I have a checkoff list that as you complete each one, you can check off, and you need to say where they are. There has all your primary care doctor information. It has your banking, your clubs that you're members of. If you have a collection of something that you have that people don't know about, they may throw it away when you talk about yourself and tell why you have these things. And your bills are another area that happen. I've seen people go into bankruptcy because when someone died, they didn't have anyone taking care of the bills. And it's just a mess. So I tried to cover all the information, such as your physicians and healthcare professionals. And a tip I have there is, so you don't have to write the information down, is when next time you're at your doctor's office, just get a business card and tape it in on the page where you would put all their contact information. That way, it's current. And if they need to get in touch with any of your health medical field, they would have that information. Also, there's a place in here for a copy of your driver's license and your social security card. There's just, again, everything. It's not hard stuff to have to get to and put together. And I do want to point out too, for those of you who are like I was, you just can't face death or the thought of it. Planning your funeral is at the back of the book. So if you don't want to go there yet, that's fine. But most of my clients find that as they put all their information together in here, they say, you know what, I do want to do that. I want to go ahead and complete that section. So again, it's not an awful thing. And that's part of what drives me and why I want everyone to have a copy of this book, is because it's a gift that you give yourself, but mainly to your loved ones. You'll remove so much grief from them. And so I would encourage you to get the book, just because I want you to have it and to get your own information together, but for your family and loved ones. So they'll really appreciate what you did for them.
Yeah. So you saw there the tour on Amazon. Ann's book is available worldwide, everywhere books are sold. It is available in paperback because it's a practical workbook. But it is available for ebooks if you would prefer to have it as an ebook in your Kindle reader, your Nook, or some type of electronic book reader. It's also available on audiobook. And this will be helpful if you would prefer an audiobook. Obviously, you can go through the forms and fill it out in your own notebook. But I think most people are going to find the paperback version to be very helpful. It was intentionally sized for 8.5 by 11 so that it's easy access for you to literally write in it, as Ann is talking about. And let's just listen to an excerpt of the audiobook just to give people a short taste of that. And then maybe you can talk about, so this is the chapter 1 on Ann's story. And I need to turn it up here.
My mother and sister Beverly and I were celebrating Beverly's birthday in Orlando. We had just come in from a lovely evening of dinner and a play. I received the worst call a parent can receive. My husband called telling me I needed to come home right away, he said. We think David, my son, has had a heart attack. He was 17. How can a 17-year-old have a heart attack? Needless to
And Ann's already went over that story with us, but you see the clarity in the audiobook. Her book screams with excellence and professionalism. And Ann, can you just describe the years of research that this book represents? All of the thought into the driver's license, the doctor's cards, everything. How many years would you say this book
Yes.
represents in research?
Well, I can tell you it's 20 years worth. It'll be 20 years this July that David passed.
Okay.
And like I said, with each event that I came across with helping my clients and helping people put things together, I would find information that they needed. A friend of ours, they had been in a car accident and they were in the hospital, and the woman called me and she said, look, I need Bob's, whatever forms they needed. And I knew where they were because I had set up their filing system. And so as I would get calls like that and the different experiences, that anything that had to do with making sure that all you had to do, I really went into the book thinking, if I couldn't speak for myself or someone else can't speak for yourself, let this book speak for you. It's just and that's why if you do listen to the audio and make notes, just make sure someone knows where this book is. And that, I would tell everyone, just say, this is my book. If something happens to me, this is where it is. And this has all the information in it. So I think that's very important. You have to tell someone where it is. And one thing that makes, one thing I like about mine is because what I would do, for 6 years, I would go and make the book at Office Depot and make a spiral bound booklet. And I would just fill it out for my clients and sell those. Well, it got to just be where it was just so expensive. The prices went up and up. And every year in my business, I like to try something new. So I thought, you know what, especially with COVID, that was just horrible. The nightmares that came from that with people not being ready and prepared. So a lot of the information I learned from people that had passed, I took that information and I put it in here. And then just having the conversations about death. Like one thing I did was, I saw how people would turn away from not wanting to talk about it. So last year I got my certification in what's called Before I Go Solutions through Jane Duncan Rogers, a company over in England. And I became a facilitator because people were asking so many questions. I thought, well, when I do speaking on this and talking to groups, I want to be a good facilitator in helping them learn how to not be so afraid to face this. And again, like I said, the promise that I can give you on that is at the end of it, you feel so good. And so that's what I want to do. I want to make people feel good, not make you have to talk about taboo subjects. And it's funny because when we're born, we get a birth certificate. And when we die, we get a death certificate. So we get 2 pieces of paper in our life that really matter. We start out with one and end with one. And so I just think that to remind yourself, if I couldn't speak and I wanted people to know things, my information, that now I've given you a tool. As we've mentioned before with Barbara Hempel, her father used to always say, having the right tool is half of any job. So this is your tool that you could help you and encourage you to try to do that. And if people get the book and then it sits, so then I started workshops. They're a month long, every Monday night for an hour that people can register for, and we go through it. And at the end of I give you homework, and at the end of the month, you will have a completed book. So that's what I have to check that box off. Like, what if people buy it and then it just sits there? I don't want that to happen. I want you to complete it and let it be of good use to you.
Yeah. So here is Ann's website. It is timeisthekey.com. TIME is the key.com. And so you can go and take a look there at her site, and you'll be able to register for these workshops that she is talking about. So the book is the beginning of a potential relationship with Ann. Some of her clients go right through the book and they don't need require Ann's assistance, but others really are comforted to meet Ann. And so she offers these workshops to take you through the book. And Ann, you want to just talk about those subscription opportunities, what would people sign up for and how would that work for them?
Sure. Yes. Well, we have it's on under events on my website. You can go and you can register for the class there. And like I said, it's every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. and we do everything through Zoom. And it becomes a really good group because people share what they're afraid of, what they don't want to put together, questions. Someone might even come up with a question that we haven't even thought of yet. So it helps people get through this, because accountability is something that you have to complete this kind of stuff that we don't want to talk about. But my goal and my hope is that soon this won't be a taboo subject, that it will be, do you have your end of life plans in order? Or next time you hear someone say, oh, they were in a horrible accident and they're in a coma and they're hooked up to all these machines and we don't know what they wanted. Please remember this book and that there is a way to change, because I think it's so important. You make a plan while you can. It's too late when you are hooked up to machines and saying, oh, we should have filled that book out. So that's why I said I'm very passionate about this book. I'm sorry that I had to go through the awful experiences and the chaos, but from what I learned with it, I'm very happy that I can share it with others. And I thank God every day for his grace that he gives me to be able to continue and to help others.
Yeah. I saw some practical questions, and team, if there are some questions, put them up. But Christine wanted to know, can you join these workshops at any time? Is it like you have to start at the first Monday of the month, or what's
Yes,
your
yes.
process
You have
there?
to start at the first Monday of the month. And once it's closed, we close it for that month, because it's hard if someone, say one person has had a real struggle with trying to get through this and we've kind of helped that one person, and then when you bring someone new in, it might be hard to adjust. So I just make them, it's the 4 Mondays in the month, and so they can go and register online for that. And if someone does not want to share anything with the group, I also offer private coaching for that. We could do this one-on-one. So I like to make everyone feel comfortable when they have to go through this.
Yeah, so I just want everyone to understand the book is priceless. You need to order the book. Several people have said, get the paperback. But obviously, if you prefer the ebook, technology is available. You can do that, or the audiobook. But you can also get a combination of the audiobook and the paperback. But you're going to want to physically record this. That's the whole point of Ann's mission, is to help loved ones be prepared in the event of an emergency or death. And but once you see this book, you're going to then think like, Father's Day's coming. Maybe your parents need a copy of this book. And she often has people buy them in sets so that they can be given out as gifts, and even around Christmas to buy 10 and 12 at a time. This is a very practical gift. And you might think, as she's talking about the subject of death is taboo, but Ann, have you ever had the story of someone who gave a gift and had it sent back because they didn't want it? I mean, I can only imagine how valuable people consider this gift when it's given to them.
Right. Yes, usually. Matter of fact, I had one client of mine. She bought 4 books for her children, and she did give them as Christmas presents. And they're all going like, do you know something we don't know? And why would you do this? But then as she started talking about it, they all loved it. And they were like, wow, I really do need to do this. And some of them have their own kids, and they're thinking, I need to do this for my kids, So it's no, usually the comment that I get back is, oh, I've been wanting to get this done, and I didn't know how to start or where to begin. And now I do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so for that person that has everything, I bet they don't have their data in order. So this is a gift that you should really consider giving every teacher, every loved one, every person that you need to give a gift to. And it's very affordable and it's very practical. But then understand it starts with the book, and then there's workshops, group level workshops, and then there's private coaching. And you can find that at timeisthekey.com, timeisthekey.com. And any final words before we say goodbye? What would you want
I just
everyone on the planet to hear?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, first of all, to you, Kevin, and Spirit Media for the
Mm.
wonderful job that you have done in publishing this beautiful book for me, and the help that you've given me to get me to this point. And I just thank all my friends and for the love and support they've given me through the years as I built this book and wrote this book. And again, I send it out with love and hoping that everyone will realize the importance and not be so afraid to go take care of it. And again, make a plan while you can, and then you'll be so glad you did.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Ann, on behalf of Spirit Media, Barbara Hemphill, all of your loved ones here. Congratulations and thank you so much. We are proud to represent you and your book, and we appreciate the opportunity and trust that you've given us, Ann. So God bless you. And we're going to continue to beat this drum because many people need this book. And I'm so glad that it's now available worldwide.
Yes,
So
well, thank you. And like I said, if you have a company where HR departments, this is a wonderful benefit to give your employees, because so many people don't want to talk about it. And I'm sure even HR people understand that when someone passes away in someone's family, they need extra time off to help get it together. Now they can. So anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time here at Spirit Media. God bless you all.